Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Automate Asia Magazine live interview session. I'm Vanny, MC of today. I hope everyone is having a good day. First of all, I would like to introduce our title sponsor, Onroad Electronics and GM Berhad. They'll be having a 5 minutes product broadcast after the Q&A session. So everyone, please stay tuned for their recent new product, which is LDUVC, a disinfection robot. Again, next slide, please. Moreover, we have a few supporting partners, which are Singapore Industrial Automation Association SIAA, Malaysia Automotive, Robotics and IoT Institute MARI, Malaysia Automation Technology Association MATA, and last but not the least, Malaysia Artificial Intelligence and Robotics Association MIAR. And ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our robotics experts who will be interviewed today. First will be Mr. Terence Teo, President of Singapore Industrial Automation Association SIAA. Second will be Datuk Madani Sahari, CEO of Malaysia Automotive Robotics and IoT Institute MARI. So without further waiting, I'll pass to Ms. Atira, who will be conducting the interview. Let's welcome Ms. Atira.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. I'm Atira. I'll be conducting the live interview session for today. Okay, good afternoon, Datuk Madani and Mr. Terence. So
good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So as a start, could you briefly introduce your professional background and your organization or association? Datuk Madani, may you start first?
All right, thank you. Again, my name is Madani Sahari. I'm an industrial engineer. I actually did my first degree in France and my first master's in France as well. I've been basically more involved in the automotive industry, where I started my career as an auditor, but after that I landed my career in the automotive industry. I started off as a quality engineer, and I ended before I joined the government as one of the CEO as a CEO in one of the DRB Highcom subsidiary companies. That was then doing aluminium casting, high pressure casting, as well as low pressure casting. This one, then MARI, the organization. So MARI, or Malaysia Automotive Robotics and IoT Institute, is a government agency. It's an agency under MITI, the Ministry of International Trade and Industry. Before MARI, we were known actually as the Malaysia Automotive Institute, and as I think all of us is pretty aware of the fact that the automotive industry is pretty much advanced in terms of automation, robotic application, and so on. So we started then automation and robotics initiatives in MAI, and then to realize actually many of these applications can be deployed across many other sectors. Then the government in the year 2018 rebranded MAI to become MARI. Since then we are known as MARI. And MARI is now a think tank, as well as the implementer as far as robotic application, IoT development, IoT deployment in the automotive sector, in connected mobility, as well as other sectors that requires high intervention levels of such a technology. I think the other aspect of MARI that I like to highlight would be the fact that we are almost like a system integrator, whereby we have really formed a strong foundation in terms of our infrastructure as a service, IaaS, and from there we have developed further our platform as a service. We have a full-fledged stack of computing server, as well as a big data analytics platform. And then above that, then we provide solution as a service. So we work with many SMEs and many startup companies in providing their solutions, in adopting their solutions in the applications of system, robotics, and IoT in the country. So now with that, we are very much involved now into developing system. So especially now with the COVID-19, even before the COVID-19, we have been very much involved in identifying systems that is in both manufacturing as well as in the aftermarket, in the automotive sector as well as other sectors. We even now looking into smart agriculture, we're looking into smart city, looking into other aspects of other sectors. Yeah, so I think that's plus minus what in brief what Mari is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Madani. Mr. Terence?
Thank you. So good afternoon to all distinguished audiences, and also like to thank Fireworks for giving SIA this opportunity to share some of the experiences that we have in the robotic industries. So a quick background of myself. Actually, I've been a council member with SIA for more than 7 years, and then right now is leading the association. Myself, in terms of my own business, actually, I set up IT-based companies back in 1999, specializing in embedded computers, IoT solutions, and also some of the service robots application. So I mean, the company is a New Tech Systems Private Limited, and we do have our subsidiary office in Malaysia, both in KL and Penang, as well as in Vietnam in Ho Chi Minh. So the company has been around for 20 years, and we are still growing the business. So a brief overview of what SIA is and who we are. SIA is a professional trade associations for companies and professionals in the automation, IoT, and robotics sectors. In short, we call it AIR, which is automation, IoT, and robotics. So to date, we have about 650 active members in automation, IoT, and the robotic ecosystems, ranging from technology solution providers to consultants, market researchers, academia, and even end users. So today, our members represent different industry verticals such as automation, smart cities, building, logistics, retail, F&B, solutioning, transportation, healthcare, robotics, and others. So as a leader in automation, the IoT and the robotics space, we have also co-founded two multi-regional events, which is the IoT Asia Conference and Exhibitions, and also we did a robotic experimental zone within ITAP Singapore. So other events in our annual calendars includes industry seminars, members visit, study visions, missions, and trade missions to various ASEAN and Asia countries. And we actually goes on to build strategic alignment and to create awareness, to build a network and extend Asian outreach for our members. So in the past, SIA has signed MOUs with various regional partners to facilitate the exploration of business opportunities in the regional market. So our partners include the Institute of Information Industries Taiwan, Digital Transformation Association of Taiwan, DTA, Malaysia Robotics and Automation Society, MIRAS, and Korea Associations of Robotic Industries, KA, Vietnam Industrial Automation and Association, Thailand Industrial Automation and Association, and we also have an alliance with Taiwan Automation and Robotics Association, as well as the Holland Robotics. So on the trade front, we do have our partnership alliances with Singapore German Chambers of Industries and E-Commerce for some of the Industrial 4.0 initiative and TITRA as well. So last year within ITAP 2019, we actually signed an MOU with MyAir and with SIA. So the reason of the MOU is to build up interest to aid the industries to the promotion and adoption of Industries 4.0 technologies. The common goal is to build strategic alliance to offer bilateral friendship and exchange of privileged industries and business information. And this also translates into opportunities for both the organization and our members. And we also have a MOU signed between SIA and APTINAS, which is the Indonesian ICT Businessmen Association. And the common objective is to encourage and support the formation of Industries 4.0 centric ecosystems by sharing and leveraging on shared networks and expertise, and also to explore opportunities and collaboration between Indonesia and the Singapore companies. Lastly, we also have a MOU signed with the National Robotic R&D Program Office, NR2PO Singapore, as well as ROS Industrial Consortium Asia Pacific, which is ROS-I. And the MOU was signed in the presence of our former Senior Minister of State for Trade and Industries, Dr. Kopo Kun, And this MOU binds the organization in a strategic alliance to offer cooperation to advance the push on awareness of ROS and its adoption in the industries. So with this, SIA also collaborate with many other trade associations in Singapore to aggregate demand side opportunities for our members. So our association partners include Singapore Manufacturing Federation, Waste Management and Recycle Association, Association of Electronic Industries in Singapore, AEIS, and also the Singapore Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industries. So basically, we are also exploring overseas markets. We bring our members to overseas exhibitions under the Singapore Pavilion, under the International Fair and Mission Program, which our government agencies, Enterprise Singapore, is giving out some grant in terms of this. And thank you for the, and thank you for, this is a short introduction of SIA. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Terence. Okay. Possible to share with us some current situation about the robotics industry in your country, especially post-COVID-19? Mr. Terence, how about you start first?
Okay, in the Singapore context, I think this COVID-19 has affected our construction industries big time because as all of us know that we have actually a large number of cases in our local workers dormitory, which house almost like 300,000 of these foreign workers, and to date, almost more than 50,000 are affected. So the industries is very badly impacted, and hence our building construction segment is exploring how to speed up the development of robotics in building and construction industries. We are also experiencing high-level working initiative in the use of both IoT and I4.0 solution within these industries. So for the industrial robots, we are seeing that the construction industries will actually have a higher demand in terms of this industrial robots for pick and place or for the use of the construction as well. So there are a few different types of construction robots that are posed to break into the construction market, at a mass scale. So of course, we have also understand that there's a 3D printing robot that can build large buildings on demand. So a mobile robotic arms that control a 3D printer, and with a set of pre-programmed instructions, the systems actually 3D print an entire structurally safe building. So these technologies, we are seeing it begin to be used for building bridges. And I think in Holland, they have actually printed out a first 3D printed bridge, in Netherlands. And also by combining 3D printing and industrial robot, it will become one of the most promising automation technologies in the construction industries. We are also seeing some of the construction robots for bricklaying and masonry, and even robots that lay an entire streets at one time. So this type of robots will dramatically improve speed and quality of construction work. Of course, we also have the demolition robot, which is another type of construction robot that breaks into the mainstream application. So while they are slowing down the demolition crew, of course, the demolition robots are much safer and cheaper when it comes to demolishing the concrete and structural components of a building at the end of the life cycle. So with this, right, I'm seeing, in Singapore, we are seeing a greater push in terms of the use of robotics, factoring in industrial automation systems and IoT monitoring solutions into the whole ecosystems to build up, and to actually counter the impact of the current situation caused by this COVID-19. Yep, that's all for my sharing.
Right, thank you, Mr. Terence. Could you possible to share some insight, Datuk Madani?
Thank you. Well, in Malaysia, post-COVID-19, well, it's not really post, it's still ongoing for COVID-19 as far as that's concerned. Before the COVID hold started, the Malaysian government has introduced this Industry 4.0 policy, and with that policy comes the evaluation, the assessment process. Then with that, it comes also the intervention process, meaning assessment is to understand the level of the gap of the industry versus that Industry 4.0 requirements per se. And then that gap then will be fulfilled by adding on by introducing some form of intervention, either in terms of automation, industrial automation, robotic application, etc., and so on. So that's what we have started doing earlier this year, and then after the MCO. Then we continued doing this. So what's going on now is most of the robotic applications in Malaysia are very much focused or centered around improving manufacturing processes. Either, I mean, it's really cross sectors. Either you are in the E&E or you are in furniture, you are in automotive industry, connected mobility, and so on. So more of those applications now are taking place into improving the efficiency and the productivity by deploying all of these robots, as well as mechanization. Now in Malaysia, we don't actually, given the size and given the number of companies in Malaysia, we don't actually so say, for example, giving a full automation deployment in a company. So some would be like more towards mechanization as a first step towards automation. Some can go to a higher level of automation and industrial robotic application. But what's important here is actually the deployment of system, the integration aspect of it, meaning integrating process between processes to make sure that inputs and outputs between processes are captured real time, and therefore a real-time monitoring and assessment of the process in terms of its quality as well as in terms of its productivity can then be measured, meaning the company is very much in control of what's actually happening in their processes. So so now Malaysia is moving into introducing those aspects of automation and mechanization in our manufacturing. But needless to say, during this COVID-19, so the applications of Industry 4.0, especially in the production of PPE, has really accelerated the deployment of printing, of many of augmented reality as well as VR. So a lot of that now are also putting into place. So I think that's really the blessings, that we can say that COVID-19 has really accelerated the deployment of the components of the Industry 4.0, especially in these areas of robotics and automation.
Thank you, Dr. Madani. Okay, could you briefly share with us the solutions that the government offered to help the industry players? So what industry players should do or react to sustain in the market? Dr. Madani, you may start.
Sure. With the intervention program, so the government is offering quite a number of schemes and incentives. Firstly is, of course, it has got to do with, introducing the solutions that are very specific to the needs of the industry. So with that, we've introduced that what we call the MITP, or we call it the Innovation Transformation Platform. It's actually a platform that contains more than about 55 solutions, and these solutions are all systemic based solutions, meaning it is to be deployed across processes that is more relevant to the specific tool. Meaning, if you are a small SME, or even if you are a micro level company, then your solution may be of a smaller solution compared to a bigger company. So we are saying that not all companies definitely can afford a bigger solutions in terms of automation, robotics application. For that reason, we provide a whole range of, the government is providing now a whole range of solution that varies from a micro setup to a small, medium setup. Of course, for the large companies, they are big boys. They know exactly, the sort of solution that they require. So for this purpose, government is then providing actually facilitation in terms of matching grants for big companies to also be assisted in terms of their deployment in their industrial automation. So then at the same time, talking about robotic application, talking about Industry 4.0, we are also talking about data gathering, the ability to harness data, and the ability to then perform data analytics. And this way, again, this way, early on I was talking about the infrastructure that we're providing, the infrastructure as a service. This way we provide IaaS as well as platform as a service, whereby we provide this common platform, a shared platform where the industrialists, the companies can actually leverage on the government platform, and therefore this actually saves them a lot of investments, by leveraging on the platforms that the government is providing. And then at the same time, we do hand holding, coaching, and mentoring the people in the company, so that they could understand how these tools can be deployed in their processes, and at the same time how data can be collected and big data analytics can be performed, and so that this data can then be interpreted from a mere data to information, from information to knowledge, and from knowledge to wisdom, meaning then a concrete decision can be made by the company, to thrive and to make better their business plan or their processes. Thank you.
Welcome. Mr. Terence, could you possibly share some of the solutions?
Okay, so for the Singapore government, in fact, they are offering a whole range of schemes to help both the SME as well as some of the MNCs companies in terms of their sustaining and survival because of this COVID-19 pandemic. So I mean, in Singapore, I think a small and medium enterprise will be getting more help to access the government support. I mean, they are actually launching a new online advisor to point them to schemes most suitable for them. So this means that such help is very important for companies who try to transform themselves and digitalize. And then this process is made more urgent by the COVID-19 pandemic. The advisor, which has already been launched since yesterday, actually during a virtual conference organized by the SME Center. So this is basically will provide a business advisory to firms and help them to upgrade their capabilities. And also, I think they will actually gather common feedback and find out, I think, what are the prerequisites that the SME need in terms of assessing some of the schemes, and find out, I mean, the quality and what is best suited for their needs. And this will complement the effort of business advisors and also provide round the clock for firms, So it's part of the government larger Go Business platform that will be integrated into this portal. So at the same time, I think the Infocom, the IMDA, which is the Infocom Media Development Authority of Singapore, they have actually set up a number of grants called the Productivity Solution Grant. And for this COVID-19, they have a whole suite of solutions that is already been listed. Those are developed by some of the local systems integrators and solution providers. And so this whole suite of solutions, ranging from things like the contactless temperature measurement, e-invoicing, and some of the robotics initiative, and also the Singapore Tourist Promotion Board has also shortlisted quite a number of innovative applications that is going to help our hospitalities, retail, and also the air travel industries, which are badly affected, and also the event management companies, which are badly affected by this COVID-19 impact. So with all this initiative, the government actually, through this Productivity Solution Grant, will actually fund up to 80% of the project costs. And so the SME owners who are adopting this grant, so that they can actually go back to their workplace to work safely in terms of social distancing, in terms of the business recovery needs, then they only need to pay 20% of the entire project cost. And actually to date, based on our agency report, at least 10,000 of this application were already made available to COVID-19 business continuity measures. So I mean, this grant really helped to defray some of the costs. And the government is also helping enterprise by taking, I think, a business risk, loan, because some of the local banks they are actually providing some loan schemes to our SME business owners to help them continue their business, and also to reduce the number of retrenchment within the workforce. So basically, the government agencies, the trade agencies, Enterprise Singapore actually work out with the local banks to provide a bridging loan up to 5 years, and then they actually guaranteed 90%, in terms of the risk taken out by this SME companies. And right now, I think to date, almost 9.4 billion in loans has already been extended to the local Singapore industries in terms of this. Yeah, and then most of these are also given to even the micro and the small enterprise, where their revenue is less than 10 million per year. So these are all the possible solutions that Singapore government is introducing. And from the trade association part, we are helping, our members in terms of some of this initiative. And also, I think regularly we are actually receiving a lot of call for grants from some of our government-linked companies, like the port, the airport, the seaport, and also some of the the transportation requirement. So they are actually throwing out possibilities and opportunities for our SME solution providers to come together to innovate and provide some of these solutions. So these are all the initiative that's available. So I will urge all our local system integrators and solution providers to not give up at this difficult time, to continue to innovate, continue to find collaboration partners and networking partners to build up some of this proof of concept to test out within the Singapore local market. And once it's successful, right, I'm sure that there will be opportunity for us to grow and send some of these systems or actually sell some of these systems to the regional market like Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Terence. COVID-19 has seen the rise of Industry 4.0, especially in the robotics sector. What are the current demands and opportunities for industry players in the market, Dato' Madani?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, true. COVID-19, as I said earlier, is sort of like a blessing to robotics, to Industry 4.0. What are the demands? Look, now, even in Malaysia, we do face, Malaysia, we still employ quite a number of foreign workers, and during the MCO when they left, and now they cannot come back to Malaysia, so there are some constraints there. So that's why automation and mechanization are two aspects of process improvement that is very much needed at the moment. So what I'm saying is to rely less of direct workers in the production. So there's one current demand, but the other demand, I would say, still, I'm relating all of these to data. Really, this is the opportunity for the industrialists, the industries to get, to understand the power of data. We have been producing products and some delivering services, for many years, and there are data that are being produced or generated this many years. And Industry 4.0 is basically about the data harnessing and the data analytics, and therefore from there, we are able, performing a big data analytics, and from there able to pave the way forward in terms of what next, what should be the next level of product, what should be the next level of services that is to be delivered or to be offered by the company. So truly enough, the whole world is experiencing an economic slowdown because of COVID-19. So actually some of the productions are being cut down, and the volume are somewhat lower in some sectors. In some sectors it's normal, in some sectors it is rising, but generally speaking, of course, everybody is feeling that pinch, in terms of the normal business day to day. So my opinion is this is the time really to regroup back, to regroup the processes, to regroup the business plan of the company, and then to review, where the areas within the company where it necessitates the intervention in terms of automating it, in terms of introducing system, and when it comes to system, I'm really referring about the ability to integrate process 1 to process 2 to process 3, really coming from raw material down to logistics. And that is really about automating your processes, using a system that will give you a real-time understanding of your processes and making it more efficient and higher level of productivity. And bear in mind, having such a system in the processes, will sustain, and you are able to be more diversified when the economy opens up, when there are new opportunities. You are more flexible in terms of diversifying and in terms of producing new products and offering new services. One last statement is on the opportunities for the industry players. I'm talking about the startup companies, the SMEs that are SI or that are system developers. So this is really the opportunity for them to create new system, to create new app, new application that are more that are useful in the context of the current context of what the industry, of what the factories, the businesses are now requiring. Yeah, so really opportunities are there in terms of developing new application, new system for the use of the current companies, and also for the use of future needs when economy opens up in a later part of the year or even next year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Madani. Mr. Terence?
We have seen the rise in industrial 4.0 solution in our local industry, especially in the electronics and the semiconductor industry in Singapore. I mean, right now there is an urgent need in terms of this industrial transformation within this segment. So we are also seeing a higher traction of semiconductors manufacturers exploring I4.0 solution, especially the use of robotics and automation to tackle the new norm of having less operators and workers working in a space-constrained manufacturing country like Singapore. I mean, we always have a lack of industrial land. So, I mean, this will result in more companies adopting collaborative robots to do pick and place and also high precision.
Mr. Terence?
I guess Mr. Terence is freeze. Maybe we just wait 1 more minute for him.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Mr. Terence? Okay, how about we proceed with the next question? Yeah, so we're waiting for Mr. Terence to come back.
Okay, sure. Some organizations have stepped up to provide aid to the community during the outbreak of COVID-19. Do share with us some of the ways that you or your organization has taken in helping to fight the pandemic, Dato' Madani.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is an excellent question. Firstly, during the outbreak itself, I mean, it is still happening, but during that time, we heavily participated in the design and the production of PPE in Malaysia. We actually produced the face shield, and I think we have produced like tens of thousands of those face shields that we have distributed to the hospital, and also we have designed ventilators. So we had patented 3 designs for the ventilators during that time. That's one. Secondly, I'd like to go back to the need to help the SMEs, the small medium enterprise. So what we have done about 2 months ago, we have launched this technology development program, or TDP, and we call it Express, because this program normally it will take like 8 months, but because of the necessity to help and transform the SMEs immediately, so we have shortened the period to only 1 month. So the target is really go into the company, identify where it's lacking in terms of technology deployment, identify that specific technology, that specific solution, deploy it, adopt it in the company, get the process running, get the technology to help resolve and improve the productivity in the company, and after that, at the same time, get the company to have access into a digital form of marketing. So obviously there's e-marketing, and then help the company in terms of additional funding that is required for them to move on from there onwards. Yeah. So we have targeted 1,000 companies under this program. So far we have done close to 300 companies. We're hoping to finish this very soon, earlier first quarter of next year. And I believe this program, I think the government is very positive and would be considering to extend further this program to include many other thousands of SMEs into this TDP Express program. I think the other one that Mari is pretty much involved, is the test kit itself. Now, Mari has collaborated, had partnered Sengenic. Sengenic is a Cambridge spin-off company. They are based here in Malaysia. They've got their laboratory in Malaysia. They have produced the first test kit. According to the WHO assessment, it is the first antibody test kit that is of the highest level in terms of sensitivity and specificity, which are both recorded at 96.7 and 100%. So Mari comes in and partners Sengenics in terms of big data analytics. So imagine that now we are able to measure the qualitative and the quantitative of antibodies present in your system when you are infected by the virus. And from there, there's a lot of data that we could then trace and able to understand how this virus is manifesting itself in that particular patient. Because virus, by its nature, it manifests differently according to ethnic group, according to gender, according to the environment that you are in. So it is very important for Malaysia to understand how this virus is affecting the Malaysian population as a whole before a very specific vaccine, which is targeted for the mass production in Malaysia, can then be developed. So that's some of the key deliverables that Mari had worked on for the last 3 to 4 months.
Thank you, Datuk Madani. Mr. Terence, on your previous question.
Yeah, sorry. I think I'm so enthusiastic that I think probably the network cable went loose. Okay, just to continue from where I left off, as I mentioned, basically there is a lot of a requirement in terms of I 4.0. So I think we are also seeing the industries going to I 4.0 solutions that are cloud-based, adopting some of the web-based software, like I think what Dato' Madani has mentioned, platform as a service. So with more of these machine builders, sensor manufacturers, and process controller being made to support the unified architecture, such as OPC UA, this has made the data acquisitions from machines, sensors, and even autonomous robot handlers to be standardized and quickly deployed, so that actually this is the heart of the I 4.0 solutions for industries. Hence, we are seeing an increase in demand for pick-and-place robots, autonomous robots that can be used for transportation, automation systems that will integrate with this platform to complete the last mile of the transformation process. So with travel restrictions and a temporary halt of the supply of operators from the region, Singapore is also facing a so-called a labor shortage right now. So basically the use of I 4.0 and robotics is being optimized, and this will actually reduce the error in terms of communication, wrong data that is manually entered or communicated. So with autonomous robot, it will reduce the number of manual labor in shop floor, and hence less risk of infection. And also the robot do not need to be maintaining the social distancing. And compared to the human, the robot will not get sick and tired as well, and hence productivity will not be affected by fatigue caused by some of the repetitive process work in the manufacturing environment. So on the next questions, in terms of the steps to aid the community. So from SIAA point, we are actually building up a portal called AirHub. This will be integrated, an integrated portal, which is also an intelligent one, that will allow our members to share their product information, their use case, as well as past experience. So this will allow anyone who actually has a need for automation systems, IoT or robotics solution, to quickly identify those companies that already have some of these solutions that are put up into our portal. And this will be a quick way for them to actually find out and actually cost save in terms of their industry transformation project requirement that they are doing on. We are also working with our Institute of Higher Learning to look at how we can offer some of the training courses to the SME business owners or their employer or employees in terms of these courses. They are able to tap some of the absentee fees from the government grant, so that basically this will also help to defray operating costs from the SME companies. And lastly, we are also working with some of the IHL in terms of that, let's say for those companies who have very little activities or low in activities, they can actually second their PMET, which is their manager or their supervisor levels, to go and do some teaching in terms of in the institute, because they are actually right now recruiting freelance or part-time lecturers and project supervisors. I think this will help the SME companies to defray some of their operating costs. And also we are working out with ROS-I in terms of working out with some of our members to come out some common modules with the ROS companion model, so that this common module can be used in robotic application that can be put on a mass adoption, whether is it from a pick and place or whether is it from a transport-based robot location movement and so forth. So we are doing all these opportunities, we are doing all this initiative from the association point of view, so that we are actually helping both the local industries and our members as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Terence. Did the pandemic affect your organization or association? What are some challenges that you have faced in the period of the outbreak? Dato' Madani?
Yeah, challenges. Challenges, earlier on, Terence was talking about funds, grants, Yeah, obviously, in the announcement made by the Malaysian government, Penjana, among others, there have been a lot of grants and funds are now being provided by the government to help ease the operation and to manage working capital among the companies. And even the moratorium, has been introduced to the users for them not to pay their loans, hire purchases, etc., for 6 months. So while all of these are going on, I think it's it is very important, and I think this is one of the big challenges. People need to realize that no matter how much money is being injected, if we don't understand, where the leakages are, or where are, I would say not leakages, to be more positive, if we don't understand where are the holes to be plugged, the not enough amount of money, that can sustain an operation. So I believe, every organization, including my own organization, we really need to understand, how we want to move forward during this era of COVID-19. And obviously, things have changed because of COVID-19. Social distancing is one. But the way that we are going to manage event is going to change as well. Now, for example, we used to do in the last 5 years the biggest ASEAN auto show in KL and in MIPES, yeah. But because of COVID-19, we can't do auto show anymore. So one of the biggest challenges is how do we do an auto show without actually doing it physically? So obviously the answer is do it in a digital manner, But in a digital manner, the difference is that, there is a lack of experience, So meaning the system that we want to deploy within this digital framework has got to make sure that the experience, what I meant by experience is that the senses, the ability to hear, the ability to feel, the ability to see, the ability to really appreciate what is going on between a digital world in contrast to a physical world, that has got to be addressed in terms of the system deployment, So that's one of the challenges. But nevertheless, we are now moving into what we call a digital MARI. We are digitalizing the entire process, the entire operations of MARI, to the extent that everything now can be done really over the cloud, to the extent that, really, I would say a physical office probably in the future will be something of less relevant, in the way moving forward. So I think the challenge there is obviously the ability to do coding, the ability to do programming, and for that reason now, we've been working very closely to make sure that we have access to this. And I'm really glad that with all these challenges, we are pushing ourselves And now we have access to a few thousand coders and programmers that are helping us, to work out the systems, not only within the government, but really systems within the private sectors and system within MARI itself. So yeah, there have been challenges, but I think we need to just be strong and face this, face the reality that things have changed, and we really need to put a concrete, a solid solution, something that is more relevant and more lasting, in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Madani. Mr. Terence?
I think the biggest challenges is that from the association point of view, we are not able to hold any physical conference and exhibition this year. And as such, like what we are doing today, we are going online to share some of the experience and expertise. And even within SIA itself, we actually face a lot of challenges during this period. Is that even our council meetings and our information sharing has to be done online. And we got to learn, a lot of our members and the industry's players, they got to learn or make themselves available in terms of the changing from the regular office to the work from home practice. So I believe that from the current context, there is a lot of obstacle, or there's a lot of learning curve in the industries, like how do you ensure that even when you are allowed to operate, you can actually do it safely with all the safety precaution, the social distancings and so forth, even within the organization, and even with the scheduling of the workforce. Because over here in Singapore, there is actually a very tight control by our manpower authority regarding the number of people that is allowed in a workforce, whether you are actually a so-called essential service, or you are not an essential service. They actually conduct regular checks in terms of this to ensure that business owners actually have make sure that they actually have a very safe work area for their staff, and these are all the learning curve. And actually a lot of SME, even when they allow their staff to work from home, they got to grapple with the setup of virtual private networks, issuing of laptops and all this to their staff, because this pandemic actually comes, very quickly, and also the impact actually, almost wipe up a lot of the business opportunities, the revenues, and all the projects are either being delayed or postponed or so forth, So hence, from the association point, we are actually taking this very seriously in terms of how to work out initiative, how to share some of this experience with our members, with our fellow SME companies in Singapore, in terms of overcoming it, and yeah. So from the long-term point of view, we know that this COVID-19 will be a very long process, long-drawn impact that is coming on. And basically, the economy has changed to a low-touch economy, where for those industries who wants to continue to sustain and prevail, and I think for survival-wise, you really got to look at how you can actually practice some of this low-touch economy solutions, or even the way operations are done and the way businesses are conducted, or even in your production scheduling, your line layout, your automation process. So all this got to be put into the right context, and from there, then you can actually maneuver safely to ensure that you can actually overcome all these challenges that you face during this outbreak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Terence. So what is your advice to the players in the Industry 4.0 on measures that they should take into account? Datuk Madani?
Yeah, again, really a very, very wise question. When it comes to the industry players, I think about Industry 4.0, number one, it's not just about automation and robotics. I like to insist, it's actually more about data, the ability to capture data and the ability to perform big data analytics. This one. Secondly, of course, everything requires funding. Yeah, there are government assistance in terms of funding, but more importantly, the realization on the fact that when the processes improve, you actually save money. yeah, truly enough, there is some form of advancement, meaning investment that you need to do. But at the end of the day, when you calculate your return on investment, there is more good, definitely, in the processes in your business plan when it comes to introducing Industry 4.0 in your company. It's just that the management, they've got to understand the real cases, the real use cases that are to be applicable in their companies. They need to be in control. You cannot depend on outsiders. You can use consultants, but you must be in control of what you want to do in terms of what you want to improve, so that you are having a daily control, a real-time control of how much you are spending and how much you are getting out of this expenditure. Or else, again, this will be another, I would say, used to be Industry 3.0, this is Industry 4.0. We will again, escape this opportunity to measure up, to level up, the level of our processes to an industry, to an Industry 4.0. So what I'm saying is, do not be afraid, do not be intimidated by this Industry 4.0, the components of Industry 4.0. It's something which is very much learnable, very much something you can learn, you can read about it, you can attend conferences about it, and this is the time that really industrialists, businessmen, entrepreneurs, you need to be in control of what you want to improve or to introduce in your business plan, in your processes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Madani. Mr. Terence?
I do agree with Dr. Madani in terms of data, as the new currency right now. So, I mean, the fourth industrial revolution is here and it's completely transforming the way we live and work. I mean, this new world is fueled by data and internet connected devices, that are capable of collecting and processing the ever-growing amount of information. With smartphone, digital cameras, sensors, and social media, which now create more information than ever before. So in fact, for the past 2-3 years, we have created more data than in all of the prior human history combined. So in this explosion of data, it's changing how we work and what jobs are going to be available in the near future. Data is the raw material that enables automation, a smarter way of working, and artificial intelligence. And it's also important for everyone in every job and every industries to consider the implication of this new transformation and how it will change their job and employment prospects over the coming years. So I would like to share a few tips in terms of how companies can stay ahead of the pack and survive the data tsunami. Like I mentioned, data is a new currency. So probably companies or even individuals would like to think of how to get a job in data. So today, data is one of the most important resources for any business, but there is a problem. We are seeing a big shortage in people with the skills to turn the data into the insights and value. It is therefore not surprising that working in data science was not only voted as the best job in the year 2016, but has been referred to, by Harvard Business Review as the most sexiest job in the 21st century. High salaries, greater career opportunities, and flexible working all make this an attractive field to work in. Consider the future of your work, or of your projects. Think hard about how much of what you do every day is repetitive and could potentially be done by an intelligent robots or computers. Remember, we are already having self-driving autonomous car and trucks, drones, that can lay bricks, and also intelligent computers that can actually diagnose illness and issue prescription. With COVID-19, e-medicine is also an in thing right now. People are getting, diagnostics over the internet or over a video session, So the areas that a computer will struggle will include creativity, problem solving, and connecting people on a human level. So once you have figured out all these, I think it will be very easy for us to overcome, and it will not be very difficult to automate. We just need to focus on, and we need to develop our skills in this area and reshape our job, in terms of that. And then I think we are almost there in terms of developing the skills in those areas, and then then we can actually perceive on. So also we got to use data to find the perfect projects or the perfect role. Big data is only changing our jobs. It's not only changing our jobs, but we also find that, I mean, platforms such as LinkedIn's, even Facebook and so off. I mean, they are getting smarter in understanding and matching your skills with those companies that who are sourcing for you, or those even some of the business portals, they actually share, some of their solutions over LinkedIn. So I mean, you got to make sure that you have all these tools with you, use it in the correct way, and then from there, you have your profiles, experiences, and your recommendation up to date. And then you can use other services, even like Glassdoors and all this, So what is really like is, opportunities to work with different companies, and also, getting paid on what you deserve by, going to the right job at the right location. Of course, very important to become data savvy, So once you are in your I 4.0 projects or your IoT projects, demonstrating that, companies are the most, having the most elite technological team who are able to use data in original ways to solve some of these problems is a sure path to success in the information age. Being comfortable with using data in your projects will only become available in your company. So Singapore government is now making a lot of data available online. I mean, some of these are really free. We have the National Statistics Boards that actually share this data, whether is it data from the environmental monitoring and so forth. So actually solution developers can tap on this free data to develop their solutions for the industries. And finally, I think we got to make friends with your AI colleague or your artificial intelligence colleagues. Because I think AI has been adopted at a very frightening rate. We can see that in our own private life with AI assistants, such as the Apple Siri, the Google Now, Microsoft Cortana, and Amazon Alexa is becoming more popular and increasing importance. And it's actually helping us to run our daily life. So they can actually manage schedule, proactively let us know about travel delays or breaking news, or inform us of the upcoming event that they think which we are interested in. So increasingly, they can actually do, all this monitoring and our daily life, and this will become a common practice in our jobs. And we'll get more comfortable with it as we move along.
Thank you, Mr. Terence. Okay, we're going to move on to question and answer session. So robots have been as part of the front lines during the outbreak of COVID-19 in some countries. Do you think the robotics industry in Singapore and Malaysia respectively will achieve this in the post-pandemic? Datuk Madani?
When you refer to as front lines, are you only referring to the health sector, or more like a broad across sectors?
It's a broad.
It's broad, yeah. So look, COVID-19 has accelerated the deployment of robotics, automation, mechanization. Put it this way, yeah. Without COVID-19, this would had moved as well. It's just that it's moving faster now because of the need to implement the SOP, social distancing, and that sort of stuff. Yeah. So my answer to this is, to remain relevant, you need to deploy automation, robotics, Industry 4.0. So it's not really a question of whether we are going to get there or not, but it's really a matter of we need to get there. And depending on the sectors that you are in, some sectors like automotive industry, they are like already, automotive industry represents close to 34% of the robotic application in the world. So automotive is high, aviation is also high, but other sectors, they are catching up. So depending on where you are in the sector, then you got some, you got little time to catch up. Others, you got more time to catch up. But the bottom line is, everybody, must work towards the thinking of automating, of the thinking of introducing some level of automation and robotic application in your process. But obviously, as I said earlier, the industrialists, the entrepreneur, they need to think for themselves, the areas, the processes within their company that is more suited to be automated, to be robotized, and this has got to make sense in terms of your financial implications. So we are saying that you need to achieve that level of automation within a timeline that is more suited for your sector. You need to understand, benchmark your sector where it is now, you know, but given that fact, given that knowledge, then you need to put a proper milestone, a proper Gantt chart in the way, so that you know, you need to cover this level of automation and robotics application within that given time that you have for your particular sector. So it's no choice. Everybody need to think hard now so that you can, introduce robotics. You need to automate further your processes to remain relevant, to a better quality, to have better productivity, and so on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Datuk Madani. Okay, Mr. Terence.
I do think that currently in Singapore, I think especially the past 6 months, we have seen a huge explosion of robotic application in our region here. I mean, in fact, this has fast-tracked. Actually, from 2018, there is already a huge interest in the amount of robotics adoption. But because of COVID-19, I think it has fast-tracked the deployment of, more robotics, either in the manufacturing industries. And on top of this, we are also seeing deployment of service robots into our community. For example, I think the last few months, we have seen a lot of cleaning robots in the airport, and also in the shopping mall, and also in hospitals. So with this, I think the reason is because we need to minimize the human-to-human contact as we progress along into the low-touch economy. And so even places like our hospitals and our shopping malls, there is already a rising demand of service robot applications. And even in the hospitality industries, we are also seeing an increase in, an increase in the number of applications for robots, such as a concierge robot, which is able to interact with the hotel guests to do the self-check-in, and also can be integrated with some of the lift systems, the elevator systems, to help to transport the luggage to the respective guests, or even like a housekeeper robot, which actually can send you your towels if you need, or your toiletries when you need, So basically, in Singapore, we are seeing a high rise in demand from this, and even robots that helps to collect culinaries and trays in the food court to a centralized washing area. All these are very, very in demand right now. And basically, with this, we are seeing that the possibility of the robotic industries becoming more vibrant, and more projects will be implemented in the near future. Can you help me to share the slides in terms of some of the applications that I'd like to share with the audience? Yeah, so I have a few slides of some of the actual so-called deployment in Singapore. Next, please. Yeah, so from here, you can actually see that there is basically, a safe distancing surveillance robot that are already being deployed in our local community. For example, we have this OR3 robot, which is actually deployed in reservoirs and in the park area to remind people that not to get too close together to maintain the safe distancing. And in fact, we also have something like a dog robot that actually travel in our, in one of the park, in our Ang Mo Kio Bishan Park, that actually serve as a so-called a robot that actually monitors, safety of people and also the social distancing. So basically with this, right, you can actually see that there is already a lot of deployment. Next slide, please.
Next slide.
Yeah, so these are some of the applications of the cleaning robot. The one on the top left, you can see that, Ella is a cleaning robot developed by one of our SIA members, Lion Bot. So basically, Ella has been deployed in the Alexandra hospitals as a cleaning robot to help, cleaning companies to lighten the load of the cleaners, so that it's actually widely used. And you can see that in Changi Airport, there is a suite of robots that is, either the cleaning robots for the hut, the tiles or the homogeneous tiles, or even in carpet cleaning, they have actually used 2 different types of robot for scrubbing the carpets, the heavy duty one and the lighter duty one, And all this initiative is already running live in Singapore. Next slide, please. And also we have, a surveillance robot, like I mentioned in the beginning. The construction industries is very badly hit. So basically, in Singapore, we have actually set up the community, so-called the community isolation area, where I think a lot of the foreign workers who has actually been isolated into these community areas, so that basically we do not want to so-called hawk up our hospitals. So for those confirmed cases that are in the community settings, they are actually using some of this surveillance robot. I think you can see on the top left, the one which is actually a Mata 3.0, which is also used by the Singapore Police Force. So basically, this one is actually an all-terrain, multi-purpose robot that can actually goes up some inclination of slopes and some other terrain, you know. And this one actually will help to be used in some in the surveillance of some of the patients within this community hospitals, and also in Changi Airport. I think Cisco, which is a company in Singapore doing security, has also deployed the security robots within there. And also some of the applications, I think in the Asian Summit last year, we also have the security robot deployed for crowd control and also for security monitoring and management. Next slide, please. So finally, like I say, in our food court, which is a very popular eatery in Singapore, we have the tray return robot, where it actually reduce the number of cleaners within maybe a food court. This robot will actually goes around the areas where the so-called those who are having their meals. After they finish their meal, they can actually put their tray onto the tray return robots, which actually travel around the food court area and go to a centralized cleaning or consolidated areas. So in I think some of the hotels, we also have the robots that actually serve as a concierge or serve as a so-called a room service in terms of sending your towels or your toiletries to the guest rooms. And also, I think in transportation of luggages, I think in Changi Airport, they are also using autonomous base to pull some of this luggage to the storage area or some of the cargoes and so forth. So these are all the actual, live or the actual robotics adoption that's happening in Singapore for the past 1 year ago. You know, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Terence and Dr. Madani, for your time answering the live interview session. So due to time constraint, we will be answering the remaining attendees question via email. So I will pass to my colleagues, Ms. Veni, for the product broadcast session.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Atira. Also appreciate Mr. Terence and Dato' Madani for sharing your views and professional thoughts. So without further ado, let me pass to Mr. Alvin Kwok from Omron Electronics and Sdn Berhad to conduct the 5 minutes product broadcast. So let's welcome Mr. Alvin. Mr. Alvin? Mr. Alvin, are you here?
Hello. Hello. Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
All right, next slide, please. All right, we are under the Industrial Automation Group, and we have a wide range of products and services as shown in the slide. We provide industrial automation solutions to digital industry. Complete range of products. Next slide, please. Next, yeah, just click. With the complete range of products under the term ILOR plus S, we provide a seamless integration from devices such as sensors, smart sensors, PLCs, up to robotics, and lastly, safety. Because with robots, safety is the concern that it requires to be integrated as well. And as mentioned by the two panelists, data can be collected seamlessly via OPC. So all our solutions are IoT ready and via OPC. So with robotics, next slide, please. With robotics, we can able to perform smart manufacturing solutions. So some of them term it as a flexible automation, so that people and machines can work together in harmony. So this is where data is being collected, then shared over to the IoT and to the cloud platform. Next, please. Then with this, therefore, Omron co-created with partner the autonomous mobile UVC robot to fight the COVID-19. So with the dynamic mobility of this robot and its safety in mind, with all these safety sensors, the mobile robot can be applied in hospitals, malls, and facilities. Next slide, please. So it can be, if you notice here, these robots are autonomous, meaning to say there is no magnetic tapes around the flooring, and they are dynamic, meaning to they can have obstacle, they can avoid obstacle, and can move about practically anywhere within the program area. It can be also be integrated with third parties devices such as elevators, auto doors, and lifts. Next, please. So the purpose of the UVC is to break the chain in the DNA, so that causing the cell cannot be replicated, and therefore it cannot infect the people when the UVC is activated. Next, please. So next will be the video clip. So you have noticed there is no tape or marking at the flooring. So it's moving in a program and a dynamic environment. So one of the key features is the patch to detect whether the UV signal strength is strong enough to detect on the surface which you want to explore or test with it. And it comes with a safety when any human comes in contact, it will cut off the UVC light. All right, so as you can see from the video clip itself, so this robot is designed specifically to combat this pandemic COVID-19, and it's not only just the robot itself, so it can be used as the panelists mentioned, service robots, as Mr. Terrence mentioned, service robot customized to do certain application. So the base unit of the robot itself, it can be customizable. So I hope that you can have some information, and if there's anything that you can do, let me know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alvin. It was an interesting product broadcast from you. So, ladies and gentlemen, our live interview session has come to an end. I would like to thank you, our sponsor, which is Omron Electronics Sdn Bhd, and our supporting partners, which is SIA, Singapore Industrial Automation Association, MARI, Malaysia Automotive Robotics and IoT Institute, MARI, MATA, Malaysia Automation Technology Association, and last but not the least, which is MyA, Malaysia Artificial Intelligence and Robotic Association. So, yeah. Thank you everyone for your participation, and we shall see you again at the Emacs Virtual Expo, which is dated on 7 to 9 December year 2020. Yeah, which is very soon, end of this year. So we will be having the second series of live interview session during the Emacs Virtual Expo. And yeah, so I wish you all, yeah, another thing, for further inquiries, welcome to contact our colleague, which is Miss Jovis Chia, at this number and email showing here, or visit our website at www.asiaautomate.com. Yeah. So I wish everyone enjoyed the session today and is benefited from it. Do continue to stay safe and take care during the pandemic. Thank you very much.